3 days later, I remember he called me up and said, "Hey, do you want to come do your vocals?" And I went over there, and I don't know, I was sober, I guess. I hate talking like this, but it just wasn't the same feel, and I just did some kind of they were kind of mechanical vocals to me, and I got them done. I really wished I would have spent a little more time on it, but I was also at the time still kind of finding out what I was doing. Didn't really know how I wanted to sound yet.
Well, see, the thing is, I like those vocals on that recording because you really I think it's true. You didn't really know what you were doing, but at the same time, I like the way those vocals sound because it was more of a spoken word kind of thing. You were just getting the lyrics out. But I think it works for the music because the music was really thinly recorded.
Yeah.
And it works for how we sounded at that point.
Yeah.
If you would have done that same style for our later recordings, it wouldn't have worked.
Yeah, it wouldn't have worked at all.
But at the time, it was what it was. And then we ended up doing a CDR off of that. So that was our first recording. The thing is,
as much as I don't like the way the CDR came out, I'll give it props for it definitely got the word out a little bit. We started our MySpace roughly the same time that we did this recording, and as bad as the social networking thing can get, it helped our band's progress light years by what we were doing.
The thing is, I don't know what year that was. It
was 07.
2007, MySpace kind of blew up, at least in that area. Everybody was on
Especially
it.
for bands it did.
If you were a band, or if you're an individual, Facebook wasn't in the picture yet.
No.
And that was kind of your way of reaching out and finding these other worlds that were going on besides just your little area. And for me, that was my little area. Yeah, I was living out by Chicago, but the guys I hung out with were in this little town.
Yeah.
And I didn't think anything was possible. I was just happy to be physically playing in a band.
Yeah.
And then we ended up getting a show from our
that was July, roughly. We spent five more months doing nothing, really.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of wasted. I wish we would have documented that more and recorded more, because we were actually, we were tight as hell anyway. Yeah. In my mind, we were really good, but maybe it was just because we were drinking so much beer, we thought we were good.
I think musically we were tight, and we ended up eventually, I'll let Phil finish this story, but eventually we ended up getting our first couple shows, our first proper shows at the beginning of 2008. And I think the first 6 months of 2008, show-wise, I think you could tell how good we were as far as just how tight we were because we spent all that time practicing.
Yeah, and it was kind of the first taste. This area, which is basically Henry County, Kewaunee area, that was the first
middle of nowhere.
That was the first time that they'd really heard anything that kind of punked out.
Yeah.
And we were into it at the time. We were really excited to be actually playing in front of people because we'd been playing in a basement for a year.
Yeah.
So we were happy to get that stuff out there, and people knew that it was something aggressive and they hadn't really heard that before. It was just basic punk hardcore stuff.
Yeah.
But for the Kewaunee area, they don't hear much of that.
Yeah.
For live bands.
We weren't doing anything mind-blowing. We're not, playing Sonic Youth music, but for the kind of music that we were doing, absolutely. Middle Illinois, Henry County, surrounding areas, Peoria, the Quad Cities, stuff like that. There wasn't bands doing anything like what we were doing.
Well, people took notice because, one simple thing
I think
is that we were actually moving around when we played.
Yeah, I think absolutely,
excited to be
absolutely
playing
the energy that we threw off, I think, was tenfold over anyone else that we played with at the time.
And whether if it was too distorted out,
I
or
think
too
that
raw,
stood out.
It didn't. Even if people weren't into the distorted thing or the raw thing, they took notice that we were there was energy.
Shows when we might have been horrible musically, we were still the band that people walked away remembering because we tend. I know I could speak for myself and Phil, and we tend to have a little more outgoing personalities, and it goes a long way. It goes a long way towards making people remember you, I guess.